All right, guys. Hey, what's going on? It looks like we're live. I hope hope we're good here. I'm just gonna double check because we have some new integrations here for Zoom and for Facebook, and it looks like we're good. So all is well. Interestingly enough, hey guys, welcome to 9 to 5 Escape. Interestingly enough, I was just kind of browsing around this morning, and I saw somebody mention that we can no longer Zoom into our groups, and that's something that I do on a regular basis. And I wanted to make sure that we're still able to do that, and so we can, but there's some new ways of doing that. So I might just touch on that later as well. So cool, we're up and running. It looks like they even added subtitles to the new live stream here. Well done. Good to see. So welcome everybody. Welcome to 9-5 Escape. Hope you guys had a great start to your week. If you're new to this group, welcome into the group. We'd love to hear from you. So if you haven't done so already, after this training, go up to the announcements post, say hello, introduce yourself, let us know what you're about, what kind of business you're in, and what you're hoping to learn or take away from this group so that we can best serve you. If you're a regular in this group, you know we come here live every Monday at 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 o'clock Eastern, to share what's working as we escape or have escaped our 9-to-5s for online entrepreneurship, lifestyle entrepreneurship, whatever you want to call it. And so you can count on seeing us here every week on Mondays. Good to see you guys back here. And today we're going to have a pretty cool topic. So I'm just going to tee up this call a little bit for you guys here. We're going to start off with some training, some coaching. I wanted to talk about burnout because something that I personally did to myself recently, and I got some really key takeaways that hopefully you can kind of implement into your routines and will help you move forward so that you don't also experience the same burnout that I did. So we're going to touch on that a little bit up front, and then I'll have an invitation for you guys, special invitation to really see what it looks like to accelerate the progress in the process in your business by joining hands, really locking arms and going at this together. So we'll take a little look at what that looks like for you as well. I'll have a special invitation for some of you watching, and we'll close it up. So if you guys are ready for this, say hello in the comments. Let me know that you're here, that you're watching, and that you're ready. Drop a ready or say hello. I'd love to hear from you guys. Just know that you're with me here this Monday. We got some snow coming down in the background, and we got 70-degree weather coming this weekend. Colorado spring. It's interesting. So all right, guys, if you are here, you're ready, let me know that you're ready. We're going to jump into this. We're going to be talking about burnout today. So I wanted to tell a little story around that because I've been working on expanding in some areas of my business, and oftentimes that includes some of the non-face-to-face stuff that we don't really like doing, right? And it's just like back-end work that we have to put in that nobody really sees. We don't really get acknowledged for it. It doesn't necessarily give us the result right away, but we have to do those things. So I wanted to talk about that. Hey guys, hey Rody, hey Karina, good to hear from you guys. Thanks for letting me know everything is a-okay with the live stream as well. So when we have a lot of those projects that start to build up, two things happen, I find, at least for me, is I ignore them, or I try to push them off and procrastinate. But the other thing is I start to overanalyze, and it becomes a much bigger project or task or problem than it really needs to be. And so I want to help you guys sort of overcome some of these things for yourself, because as I started working on these different projects over the past week or two, I really began to feel like just totally overwhelmed in my head. I was feeling like I couldn't move forward. I didn't really know what I needed to do next, even though I pretty much knew, right? Do you ever feel like you knew what to do, but you don't know what to do? And I was like, just in this process of telling myself that I was stuck for some reason. And I needed creativity in that moment. I needed to be able to tap into that. And by telling myself those stories, it was certainly not serving me. So I did a little bit of research, and I found a couple of things that can be really helpful with overcoming overwhelm and burnout. But ultimately, for me, it's all about prevention, right? I love to talk about prevention because in a health business that I have, it's about prevention. In this business, it's about preventing, the failure of your business by implementing certain strategies that give you predictability. And so I wanted to know how I could prevent burnout, because this is going to be an ongoing, common theme if I allow it to be. And so I really wanted some like strategic things that I could do in order to sort of prevent that. So if you guys want to drop in the comments, just drop a 1, because we're going to talk about the first strategy that we can use. And actually what I'd like to do is just share my screen, and I'll write these out for you guys so that you can also see what we're talking about here. So, so the first thing we want to talk about, first category here that we want to focus on is really, who gets burnt out, because these are things that I wasn't really even considering at first, right? So who gets burnt out? And really what I started to realize was that it's not an everybody type of problem. And when we're talking about working online, it's like if you just show up every day and you think like getting onto Facebook is the part of your work, you can easily get burnt out. But ultimately, there's certain types of personalities that tend to get burnt out. So one is the perfectionist, right? Can anybody relate to that? And you don't, the perfectionist thing, I really shy away from calling myself a perfectionist, because it makes it, I feel like it makes it seem like I'm expecting to be perfect, or I should be perfect, or something like that. But, it's this hesitation of moving ahead with something because you just don't know if it's exactly right yet. And when there are so many pieces, like in digital or online entrepreneurship, there's so many things that you have to have in place to make everything work correctly, that you want to make sure it all works right. And then you start getting into this perfectionist mode where it stops you from actually moving ahead. And if you guys have been there, raise your hand in the comments, because man, it's something that, when I first hired my first coach, one of the very first things she told me, I think it was even on our strategy call together, she's like, Aaron, you just need to get out of your own way. And that's really, that one statement has made such an impact in my life and in my business. It's hard to describe. It seems so simple, but just get out of your own way. And the perfectionist thing is something I never considered myself as a part of that, but I see how it shows up in the work that I do sometimes and prevents me from moving forward. So if we can be cognizant of that and recognize when we're getting into perfectionist mode, that's going to help us avoid the burnout. Because when you're in perfectionist mode, then you start putting everything you have into this project, and the burnout is just, it's going to happen. Let's face it. The second type of person that gets burnout is the pessimist. Right? So the pessimist, somebody is skeptical or not sure of themselves, constantly questioning, is this going to work? Is that going to work? Oh, should I do this? Should I do that? And they start looking at what everybody else is doing, trying to figure out what they should do in the process. And that doesn't serve either, because we're just constantly jumping from one thing to the next, and we never have the audacity to hit the trigger. You push that button and say, post, or get this out there, do that thing that's going to drive us forward. The third type of person that would struggle with burnout are control freaks, because oftentimes if we can't let go of control, there's a lot of things in our business that we can outsource, we can give to others to do, or projects that we might spend a whole day going crazy over. I spent most of my day today redesigning a funnel, and it's just like sometimes you just want to hit your head against the wall, because it's so, there are people that could put this together so quickly, but ultimately, I guess it goes back to the control. I wanted to have control of the messaging and how it that speaks to my clients, because they know me, right? And so putting it in somebody else's hands, it makes me nervous, because how are they going to know how to speak to somebody else? And so burnout it happens. So being a control freak and being okay with getting rid of some of that control, I think it's something you have to slowly, work with if you have trouble relying on other people like that, especially when it's our own business. We have so much invested into it. It's hard to let go and say, hey, stranger, why don't you help me with this? The last type of person that might have struggle with burnout are type A personalities, competition, right? Competitive people. It's about competitive people, right? Because you're just constantly trying to achieve and chase that next thing. How am I going to get this result and win over that person? And it's like you just can never slow down, right? So the first part of avoiding burnout is recognizing what types of personalities are going to put you in a burnout situation. Okay. And this definitely has helped me. And I'd love to hear from you guys how you've overcome. Rhodey says, I definitely used to be a perfectionist and a pessimistic person. You said you used to be, Rhodey. So I'd love to hear what helped you overcome pessimism and perfectionism in the comments as well. But really recognizing, I think, what states of being, it doesn't necessarily mean that if you are in a perfectionist state means you are a perfectionist person. It just means that we've kind of getting stuck in these cycles as people sometimes, and that's the human nature part of us. But if we can learn how to move past that, that will help us so much in overcoming obstacles. So the next thing we want to look towards is what causes burnout. And, again, there's a lot of different things that are going to cause burnout. But if you really break it down, this is what helped me a lot, was seeing that they all kind of fall into the same thing. And I could literally find right away, okay, I've dropped the ball on this. I've stopped doing that. I've missed this routine here. And it's no wonder that I feel burnt out, because these little things that I purposely install into my life, sometimes you just slowly, you let them slip 1 or 2 days here or there, you get involved in a bigger project, and the next thing you know, you've kind of lost touch with that habit, and it was really serving you. So recognizing that is important as well. So first cause is neglect, and the causes of neglect can be endless. In the inner circle, in the escape inner circle, and in the core curriculum, we have an exercise where we really determine daily habits. Okay, I call them non-negotiables, things that you're going to do every single day, no matter what. And you commit to them by understanding what it means to you in your life, and how it helps you move forward, and why it's so important. And those non-negotiables, I'm telling you, when you stop doing them, this is when the burnout really sets in so quickly. And so the neglect, whether it's your workouts, your diet or food that you're eating, your nutrition, right? Water consumption, all of these little things make such a big difference. And if you start neglecting them, mental health, right? Like meditation, that kind of stuff. These routines, these habits, they do a couple of things. One is they install this like sort of level of success, or that you've achieved something, right, with your day. There's a satisfaction that comes with that, and that fulfillment at the end of the day really plays into how you feel as kind of a person. Or somebody in the inner circle the other day that just mentioned, every single day she wakes up and she makes her bed. It's something she's done for a whole life. And I know people that have built their actual careers around that one philosophy. Make your bed in the morning, and you're starting off the day with a win, an accomplishment, something that you set out to do, and you did it, and you finished it, and you moved on. And that's setting you up for success in the rest of your day. So these things really shouldn't be overlooked. And every time, really, when I do burnout, I go back to the non-negotiables and say, where did I drop the ball here? What am I missing? What have I stopped doing? In this case, last week, it was crazy weather. It's just got me so disinterested in running. And running is usually my time where I meditate and I listen to, things that fill my brain with positivity. And when I don't do the run, I'm missing the benefits just of the exercise itself, but also of the mental benefits that I get from it. It's so important to me. So really recommitting and finding creative ways to work that in is what's going to be most important. Second thing that is going to cause burnout is overload, right? How many of you have trouble saying no? If you have trouble saying no, just drop a no in the comments, because honestly, it's a problem. And the more and more this happens to me, the more and more I recognize it. Oftentimes I'll have people reach out and say, hey, can you do an interview for this thing? Or can you do a testimonial for that thing? Or can you record a video for this? And oftentimes I'll say yes. Many of the times the people that ask don't even show up, which is really annoying to me, because then I've committed my time, I've carved it out, I've gotten prepared, And it was a favor that kind of on my part, and then that person doesn't have the commitment to even show. Other times they don't use it or they don't follow up or whatever. And so learning how to say no is super important. And it goes back to like being in alignment with what your objectives are in life. Doesn't mean you say no to everything and everyone, but set a priority for where you fall in first and the most important people in your world. And then, add in other things. So how much am I saying yes to? And, in my coaching group, the coaching that I'm a part of, I see all the time conversations people have with themselves, struggling with finding the time because they've said yes to so many different things. And then there's a commitment conversation that happens because you end up jumping from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. And how do you move forward, right? So when you have time commitment challenges and you use that in order to jump from one project to the next, those projects don't get finished. Those commitments that you have are not being committed to. And so the best thing that we can do is really just try to avoid overloading ourselves when we have that opportunity. Some things, you got a lot of things on your plate, you have a lot of things to do, but other times it's about us feeling like we're letting people down. So we say yes constantly, and then we're filling up our schedule with things that really aren't important and aren't serving us. Next type of thing that's going to cause burnout is definitely lack of growth. And this can come in professional or personal, right? Just like I was saying, my run is so important because I feed my brain during that time. It's a good 45 minutes to an hour, every day, or at least 5 times a week, where I'm inputting good stuff into my head, and it gives me ideas. It brings creativity. It's everything. It provides positivity. And so it's super important. And if you stop that growth, that personal growth, you start to notice. Same with the professional growth. If you're not making the moves in your business like you think you should or like you want to, you're not seeing the results that you want, then you have to kind of take a step back and look at how can I actually step back into growth mode again versus this sort of survival mode, right? Are we growing or are we just kind of staying afloat? Next is just simply newness, right? If you're new to working online and you're spending, a couple of hours every day on social media, it's going to tire you out. That's just simply how it is. You got to get used to it and find ways to streamline, those processes. So, I spend time every day reaching out to people on different, platforms and in different groups. And so you have to, the one thing that I found that's been really effective is blocking out that time and committing to it and not just spreading it out over the course of the day, because then you waste a lot of time in between doing this thing. This means scrolling, just too much of the scrolling, and you're not actually being productive. If you can say, I'm going to spend 45 minutes prospecting on purpose, and you set a timer, and every time you start going down rabbit holes, you get yourself back on track and you commit to that, that's going to be most effective. Last thing that's going to cause burnout is your imagination. And this one will get you. It gets me. I have a crazy imagination. And oftentimes we will come up with issues that don't yet exist and may very well never exist. So why do we do it? Why do we harp on it? Why do we get stuck on these things? I don't know. I think, again, it's human nature for a lot of us, but, if we can avoid focusing on the future or the past and really just be present with our businesses, that's going to help us a lot in avoiding this imagination problem, because we can come up with, lots of issues or problems that will happen. And then from that, it gets even bigger and bigger. And all of a sudden we've got this big elephant that's driving us crazy. Right. All right. So, if you guys are with me here, drop a 2 in the comments. I want to know what you think here, because we're going to move on to the second sort of part of this training, which is who do we go to when we are burnt out? And then how do we actually prevent it? A lot of these are preventative measures, but we're going to list out exactly how to prevent that. So drop a 2 down below if you guys are ready to move into part 2 here. And as Karina says, imagination is tied to the perfectionism piece. Totally. Well put, and thank you. That's for sure. It really is. And we can really imagine up some crazy scenarios and situations that will put us into that perfectionism mode where we just get stuck then in inertia, going nowhere. So awesome. Seeing two in the comments. So we're going to move here into who do we actually go to? And this is something I never even thought about before. Or at least in this way, and it can have such a big impact, right? So who do we go to? And the reason I ask this question is because we basically are going to go to three different types of people. We're going to go to either downers. Let me get the spacing. While we talk about perfectionism, I want to have all of my dashes in the right place here. Downers, uppers, or where is it? Socratic. Right? So if we have a problem, if we're burnt out and we go to a downer, somebody that's like, well, I told you that you shouldn't have done that. And I, you knew, like I pointed it out, you shouldn't have joined, this program. You shouldn't have tried to grow. What's wrong with you? Like, stay where you're at. What are you doing? That's going to make the problem much worse in our brains. Right? And we all know somebody that is a downer. We definitely all know more than one person that is a downer. One of the ways I like to explain it is crabs in a bucket. And I learned this at a young age and always kept it in my mind. But the crabs in a bucket analogy is if there are a bunch of crabs in a bucket and one of the crabs tries to get out of the bucket, all of the other crabs will actually try to pull it back into the bucket. And in life, we will face a lot of situations that are very much like the crabs in the bucket because, when we're growing and we're going after things and people around us see that we're changing, sometimes that sparks that in others and they'd rather kind of try to pull you back in than to let you go and flourish and turn into the butterfly. So downers make the problem much worse. Uppers always tell you it's okay, you're great, etc. Right? And that's okay. It'll make you feel better, but that's not necessarily going to help you get over the burnout. Right? They lift you up, you leave the conversation feeling a little bit better, but then you go back to the situation with the same eyes, the same lens, and you're still burnt out. So the last is Socratic, and the Socratic person is going to challenge you and ask questions, right? And if we can tap into a couple of those Socratic people in our lives, then when we are facing burnout, we can go to them and they're going to challenge us in a way that's going to open up the doors. I cannot express how impactful coaching has been to my own business and to my own life, because coaches have a way of asking questions to uncover. It's not about telling you what to do, right? We provide the resources that you need, the information that you need, but we really challenge you to figure out what it means to you to move forward or to solve a problem. And through that questioning, it's incredible what it opens up for you. I don't know if you guys have, I think I saw Rody was just talking a little bit about coaching as well and how it's really helped her over the past few months and looking inside for answers. Yeah, it's so perfect, right? Rody, it's like they really just crack it open for you and it blows your mind. And when I first got introduced to that, this is such an incredible way to help people change without telling or pushing or pulling or anything. It's like, this is what you're capable of, right? And that's what has given me so much passion to do this as well. So we want to really find those people that can challenge us and help ask us the tough questions. So now we get to the prevention here, and I just want to share, and as we wrap up here, just a couple of ideas for prevention. So the first thing we want to do is protect our yeses. Wow. Protect our yeses, because the more we can really be intentional about what we say yes to and who we say yes to and the things that we commit to, the less likely it is that we're going to be burnt out or overwhelmed by it, because we don't have so much on our plate. So seriously, don't fill your plate so much. It's okay. Nowadays people want something from everybody, and it can be tiring. So don't tire yourself on purpose. Second thing we can do is turn off our phone for, I don't know, 20 to 30 minutes. This could actually be pretty exhilarating for some people that spend like endless amounts of time on their phones or computers, because it's such a distraction tool. Can be such an amazing productivity tool as well. But I'd say most people are more distracted by technology than are using it for their own benefit. So if we can turn off our phone 20 or 30 minutes, meditate, pray, whatever you do, clear your head out and just give yourself some time to sit quietly and pay attention to what's going on in your own head. That's going to really help as well. What else we can do is I love this one, and my wife and I try to do this at least quarterly, if not twice a month. Getaways. We just moved to a new state. We moved to Colorado from New York, and so for us it's simple, but because Colorado is a huge state and there's so much beauty and things to do that we align with, outdoor activities and stuff. So it's easy for us to say like, hey, let's just cut away for 4 days here towards the end of the week or whatever, and get away and just check out a little bit. And we try to schedule ourselves and try to set up our schedules in a way that it won't distract too much from where we're at and what we're doing. Obviously we still have to put in some time, but man, it's incredible when you can get away like that for a couple of days during the week, when it's not packed with people and so busy at the national parks and things like that. It's beautiful just to kind of have that peace. So focus on getting away. It's quarterly getaways, yearly getaways. Doesn't have to be always, but a quick weekend trip somewhere. It's simple to do. It doesn't have to cost you a fortune. It doesn't have to be like tons of driving and flying and all that kind of stuff. So other ways that we can prevent is get some perspective. I can't stress this enough. Perspective on anything in life is so helpful. So, just try to look at it through a different lens, take a different approach, see what else is out there. Rody says, go for a walk, listen to positive words. I love it. We have this lap that we just do around our house here. And every day my wife and I just go out and get that walk in, clear our minds, whether we talk or we don't. It's just nice to be able to kind of take that time out. Music. I'm just going to kind of rattle these off here. Comedy and humor. And simplify your life. I used to think simplifying my life meant to remove everything from it and like be real minimalistic and all that. And I realized it's not really the case. Simplifying your life is just not clogging it up with things that don't matter to you. There's a lot of these societal norms that we all follow to do this or have that. And it's creating this overwhelm and burnout for people because they feel like they have to, and just complicating your life for no reason or for reasons unknown, right? So, do your best to just simplify. And that goes back to protecting your yeses so that, you're just not overloading your plate all the time. So I'm going to throw these in here as well. Go for a walk. And let's see if we can get that on the page there, Ruddy. And lastly was listen to positivity. To positive words, podcasts, etc. Yeah. So guys, it seems like there's kind of a lot here, but I really wanted to focus on the prevention, because when we understand what sort of state of being we're operating in is who gets burnt out will put us in that burnout stage right away. Then what causes the actual burnout and how simple these things are, like to stop neglecting the things that are most important to us. That should be really simple. It just takes a reminder, right? Sometimes you just fall off, you fall off a little bit and you gotta, get back and get on track. It's okay. I was talking to my coach the other day, and she was sharing a story of one of her coaches that was talking about kind of closing this gap and saying, if you have a goal for yourself to achieve X in, let's say 1 month's time, let's say you want to, onboard 20 clients in 1 month and you fall short by 10 clients. Well, the next month, don't set out to go and do 30 clients, spread out that miss over the rest of the year. Otherwise, you're just overwhelming yourself and you're setting a target that's really hard to achieve. Because if you set out to onboard 20, you only onboard 10, then you try to make it all up the next month. That's a recipe for disaster and for burnout. So just try to spread that gap out. Don't put the pressure on yourself. Make that goal now across the next 12 months, right? And now you only have to increase the next month by 1 or 2 clients instead of by 10, right? So that was just something interesting that she had shared with me, and I really feel like that's true. We can really implement on that. Of course, you just get back to your basics. Go for the personal development. Don't let your imagination, run away with itself in that negative way. Use it for good, because you can totally, flip the script on that one. And then really find somebody to go to if you really are struggling with burnout. Find that Socratic person that can challenge you and ask questions and really put you in that sort of coaching space, because that's going to be what really opens up a lot for you. And then just focus on that prevention. Again, it's just, do the things every day that are going to give you the best shot at not burning out. Sometimes I forget that while I'm doing these kinds of what I call just mindless tasks or behind the scenes type of work, that I can also, throw on some music and set the mood a little bit, get a vibe going, versus just like sitting there banging out, emails or whatever it is. And so don't forget, all the tools that are available to you as well. So guys, I'm going to move on here into section 2. So I'm just going to stop my share as well. If you guys want a copy of that, just let me know and I'll post that up, or I'll get it to you in Messenger after the call. But happy to share this with you guys as well. Just drop it in the comments. Just drop a copy down below and I'll get that over to you. So when we started, I promised that I would share an invitation with you guys as well to see what it really looks like to join us in our program, in our Inner Circle coaching program, where we really help you step by step put these pieces together so that you can accelerate the progress of your business, growing it online without all of the confusion. Because, when I first started looking into this and trying to understand all of the things that I needed to do, I became really overwhelmed and I burnt myself out, basically just by not asking the right people and not asking the right questions and not really understanding that I hadn't tapped into the right resources. And when I hired my coach, I was able to ask the questions, and even questions that I didn't even know to ask before, because she brought that out and really, really helped me get in line with what I was offering and who I was talking to. And so if you want to see what that looks like for you and for your business, and to really step into this online space at an accelerated rate, but that is step-by-step laid out for you perfectly, so you can just do the thing and get into action, then drop an I'm in the comments below. Type I'm in the comments below, and I will reach out to you. We'll set up a call, 15 minutes, just to jump on the phone and see where you're at in your business, see where you want to go with it, and see if there's an opportunity to help there. So if you want to see what that looks like for you and for your business, drop an I'm in the comments below. We'll jump on a call and we'll really work on a customized plan, especially for you, that's going to work for you and your business, types of clients that you work with. That's all I got for you guys here today. As always, guys, let me know if there's something that you'd like to hear about in the future, you want to see in this group, some focus, topics of focus. Shoot me a message anytime, drop it in the comments below. I'd be happy to to address those things for you here. I want to make sure that I'm providing the best value for you guys so that you can really take action on these things. Most of what you need really is in this group here. So, take the actions, get to work and really implement because that's what's going to drive your business forward. So again, guys, any topics you want to see in the future, let me know, drop them down below. And as always, guys, we'll be back here next week, Monday, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern, to share what's working as we escape or have escaped our 9-to-5s for online entrepreneurship and lifestyle entrepreneurship. It's an amazing thing, guys, and I'm excited to share it with you. So as always, have a great rest of your week, and I will see you on the next live next Monday. Cheers.